Thursday afternoon to you. Thanks for joining Sports for CLE. Busy show today. We're going to talk to Matt Goul about the basketball state Final Four. That'll get underway down in Dayton. We'll head to Goodyear, Arizona, and talk to Jim Rosenhaus about Indian spring training. But we begin tonight talking about the Browns and its free agent season. We are thrilled to be joined by Mary Kay Cabot, beat reporter for the Browns here on cleveland.com, as well as in the pages of the Plain Dealer. Mary Kay, you've been breaking news pretty much the last couple of days. When we look at the Browns free agent recap, there's a lot to like about what Andrew Berry has done with this roster.
Yeah, it all starts right now with John Johnson, the safety they got from the Rams. He was their number one target in free agency. Now, a lot of us thought that maybe they would go after the big name pass rusher first, but it was John Johnson that they really, really wanted. They got their man, and he wanted to come here so much that he turned down what I was told was significantly more money from another team to come and join the Cleveland Browns. And I believe it. I mean, he seems very genuine about that. And I think this is a great pickup for the Browns.
You look at the guys that they were able to keep as well as we're starting to hear Rashard Higgins back with the Browns. That's a huge, huge addition for Baker Mayfield. That's when you have a number 3 guy that has in your wide receiver room that has a comfort level and a chemistry with your quarterback. It's usually a sign that's going to be a really good room for the Browns.
Yeah, when you look at the wide receiver room in general for the Cleveland Browns, right now it basically is the same as it was last year. They tendered Kadero Hodge. They just re-signed JoJo Natson. And as you mentioned, they brought back Rashard Higgins on a 1-year deal. It wasn't the deal that he was hoping for. He thought he'd be able to go out in free agency and get a multi-year offer, at least, that he could bring back to the Browns and say, look, somebody's willing to pay me a bunch of money over a couple of years. That apparently didn't happen, because if it did, he would have had to have taken a life-changing deal like that. So he's back on a 1-year deal, $2.38 million. And you're right. I think it's great for Baker Mayfield. He was so excited when Rashard, when it was announced that Rashard was coming back. These two guys do have a chemistry together. And Rashard just does a lot of things really well for you. He's not the fastest guy. He's not the flashiest guy, but he runs good routes. He's got good hands. He catches the football, and he scores the football. About every 10 catches, he catches a touchdown pass. And that's really what you want out of your wide receiver.
And the other thing about it is, 1-year deal, salary cap likely to go up significantly next year. I know the Browns have a number of people they have to take care of, and we'll talk about that a little later. There's the ability for him to get the type of deal that he's looking for coming up, even with the Browns, potentially.
Yeah, possibly. Or maybe he's just not going to be valued like that throughout his career, but he's hanging around. He's catching passes, and he's making millions. So it could probably be a lot worse. I think that this is the place for him. There are certain players that belong with a team, and I think Rashard and the Cleveland Browns were meant to be together. I just think that Baker does value him. And for whatever reason, he doesn't catch on right away with new regimes and new coaching staffs. And then they start to see, oh, you know what? He can move the chains. He can make first downs. He can catch touchdown passes. So we'll have to see how these guys feel about him as time goes on.
When we look at where the Browns have signed guys, we'll take a look at some of the additions. And the question that I will ask you, and we've already talked about a number of Malcolm Smith, the linebacker, is back, as well as JoJo Natson, who we touched on. Where do they look next? When you look at what they've done, where are some areas or some guys that you could see the Browns potentially adding via free agency?
Well, there's a couple of places that, you can just look and say they really could use a few more bodies there. And so I think that they will try to add to the cornerback pile. Now, of course, they've got Greedy Williams coming back next year off of the shoulder injury, but with nerve damage in that shoulder, you never really know exactly how that will respond on a game-to-game basis. So they have to have an insurance policy there. Terrence Mitchell left. So he started 16 games for them last year. So I do think that they're going to need to find another outside cornerback because not only does Greedy Williams have the shoulder, but Denzel Ward also misses roughly about 4 games a year with one thing or another. So you need somebody else who can start on the outside and potentially it would be nice if they could find a nickel cornerback.
Is there a cornerback that's out there that you think could have the Browns' interest, that somebody that they could potentially be talking to?
I'm not really sure right now. I know there are some intriguing ones that are available. I had mentioned Brian Poole as somebody that I thought would be a good fit. You've got Adoree Jackson that came available. I think he's somebody that could come in here and start for you right away, potentially, if you needed that. So there are some guys, and now the Browns are in the second wave of free agency. This is where you get the bargains. This is where you can find some guys to fill those needs. And I still think that they'll sign a couple of guys.
All right, so we're going to step aside, take a quick timeout. Coming up on the other side of the break, we'll hear from Takk McKinley and John Johnson, the newest Browns free agent signings, guys that are coming in. They're excited to be here. That's straight ahead when Sports 4 CLE continues. Stay with us.
Tri-C is here for you. Now more than ever, you need a post-secondary education. So I encourage you to start your journey here at Tri-C. The majority of classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your four-year plans have changed, Tri-C is where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Well, hello, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Browns Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get text sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Lobby, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week. And it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
Welcome back to Sports 4 CLE. I'm Dave Bacon, Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter, and I talking Browns. And before the break, we talked about how excited both Takk McKinley and John Johnson were to be Browns. Take a listen to how they had to address Browns fans.
Dog Pound, what's up? It's JJ3 here, newest member of the Browns family. I can't tell y'all how excited I am to get to a city that loves their team, loyal fans, great organization, great culture, winning culture, a team that's ready to turn the corner. So I'm going to get to Cleveland, get to work immediately. I'm looking forward to everything. Go Dogs.
Yo, what up, Cleveland fans? It's your boy Takk McKinley, the newest member of the Browns, and words can't explain how excited, how happy, how appreciative I am of the opportunity to be a Brown, and I can't wait till this season start where, you know, the fans get to get back in the building, get a packed house, and really experience the Dog Pound and continue to build what this organization has been doing, which is winning. And I'm here to contribute as best as I can, and can't wait to see you guys.
Tack McKinley and John Johnson, and Hanford Dixon would have been proud of that bark by John Johnson at the end of that, Mary Kay. But it just goes to show you there's a respect for what the Browns are doing and for the front office, and you could hear it from both those players.
Yeah, I think that's a key right now. Players want to come here. Players always, they want to win. They want to be where there is a great fan base. Generally, they want to play where there's a really good quarterback. So the Browns have all of those things right now. And you could hear it in their voices, really, especially John Johnson's voice, I would say, just how excited he is to be here in a city where, where the fans care so much about their football, and they know how much they're going to embrace him.
Yeah, and when you think about it, John Johnson gives the Browns something from the safety position that they've really needed. I mean, the tight ends have hurt the Browns, and last couple of years, that deep middle, and with Johnson, Grant Delpit, Ronnie Harrison, now you're talking about some good guys in the middle of that defense.
Absolutely, and it's ironic. I found this stat the other day that 7 of his 8 interceptions in the regular season have come against tight ends. I mean, that is really uncanny. So I thought that was very, very interesting that was the case with him. And if he just continues to do that, I think the Browns will be very, very happy. But yes, covering tight ends has been an issue. And that middle of the field, that position was definitely an issue last year, the safety spot. So they've really shored it up. And it should be one of the best safety rooms in the league next year.
You also confirmed that Anthony Walker, a linebacker who played with the Colts a season ago, was in town. What do you know about Anthony Walker? What do you think the Browns like about him? How are they viewing Anthony Walker, who they're talking to today?
Well, he is a starting middle linebacker. So if he comes in, he would replace B.J. Goodson, who is also a free agent. I'm not really sure why they wouldn't just go ahead and re-sign B.J. Goodson, because he actually graded out a lot higher than Anthony Walker did last year. But Anthony also brings a lot of starting experience. He started 48 games over his last 4 years. He had 92 tackles just last year alone, picked off Baker Mayfield for his only interception of the season. So he brings a lot of experience, and he's at least definitely somebody that they are taking a good long look at today for that middle linebacker spot.
How impressed are you with the way Andrew Berry has handled this? There's a line that he doesn't go over as far as value. He sets value, and he doesn't get crazy and won't exceed the value that he has with the free agents.
Well, yeah, he does set a price on each player, and you're right. He's very patient. He lets it come to him. However, I do think that there were so many sort of bigger name pass rushers out there this year. I still would have liked to have seen one of them land here. Now, Tack McKinley, if they can get out of him what he did in his rookie year and his sophomore year when he had 6 and 7 sacks respectively, that would be really good. But he has only had 7 sacks in his last 30 games. And I think you need a little bit more production out of that side of your defensive end. Now, you don't have to, sacks are not everything because, you really want that guy to be able to set the edge. You want to get good pressure and things like that. But I still think that, maybe I probably would have signed like Yannick Ngakoue. He signed for 2 years, $26 million. I think I probably would have done something like that. The Raiders ended up signing him. We'll have to see how this all plays out over the next 3 or 4 years, if they made the right decision on passing on all these guys or if they didn't.
Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter here on cleveland.com, as well as in the pages of the Plain Dealer. We're going to step aside, take a quick timeout. When we come back, Mary Kay and I will look at who the Browns lost, so who has gone to sign with other teams. We'll also take a look at some areas that the Browns might address via the draft. Sports 4 CLE, we'll be right back. Stay with us. We're still talking Browns football.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions, or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
We're living in uncertain times, but you don't have to put your future on hold. At Tri-C, you can move ahead while staying safe and saving money. The majority of classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your four-year plans have changed, check out Tri-C's programs and resources, because Tri-C is where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Maurice, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text, 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season, become an Ohio State text subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
Sport 4 CLE continues. I'm Dave Bacon, joined by Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter here on cleveland.com, as well as in the pages of the Plain Dealer, talking Browns roster. And Mary Kay, when you look at the guys that the Browns lost, obviously they wanted to keep everybody. Andrew Berry had said that in his end-of-the-year press conference. But I think the fact that they were able to keep Rashard Higgins is a big deal. Larry Ogunjobi played some good games, but they probably were looking for a little bit more from Larry Ogunjobi. And you see Mitchell, Davis, again, Kendall Lamb, a versatile offensive lineman, but they really didn't lose any front line guys. And I know Ogunjobi was a starter and played some good football, but all in all, I think it's a testament to the Browns roster that there are guys that are kind of their depth that other teams really want.
There are some guys that are going to leave here and go play some decent football, but they didn't lose any real big name guys. They didn't lose guys that it will be incredibly difficult to replace at decent prices. And I think it's also a testament to the fact that they have managed this cap incredibly well. That's where it really comes in handy to have a bunch of guys that went to Harvard, a bunch of guys that majored in economics. And these guys really know and understand the ins and outs of the salary cap. They have like no dead money on their cap this year. It's somewhere like $1 million, where other teams are carrying $33 million on their cap and other ridiculous sums like that. So they're doing great in that regard, and they will be able to keep any of the players that they want to. Now, while we have been on this show live, news came down that the NFL has agreed to all of its television contracts, and they are enormous. And in order to be able to do that, what they can now do is move to a 17-game season. So I think that's the next thing that you're going to hear, is that there will be 17 games instead of 16. I think that's pretty big news as well. But now the salary cap will go up, games will go up, and the game continues to grow.
Yeah, and there were some estimates that the salary cap, which was 182.5, I believe, 182.5, could be as high as 227 to 230 million next year, right in line for all those fifth-year renegotiated contracts that the Browns have. And you got to believe Andrew Berry in the front office knew that.
Oh, they knew it for sure. I mean, everyone knew that this was a depressed financial market with what happened with COVID last year. So this was not the year to go out and really try to get the big, enormous contracts. Everyone was in dire financial straits. Most teams were, and now they're going to be kind of rolling in the dough. And I actually think that it would probably behoove perhaps Baker Mayfield to wait until next season, put together another really good year from start to finish, maybe even make the Pro Bowl, and see if he can't hit the jackpot after this season.
So the other thing is games will be streamed on Amazon. Thursday night is now streamed on Amazon, so that's an interesting development. When you look at Baker Mayfield, does the deal that Dak Prescott signed, that it's 4 years, $160 million, is that kind of a benchmark for Baker? Is that, if you're Baker Mayfield, is that what you're looking at and kind of measuring?
Well, generally that's how it works, that the last few contracts are the ones that you use as your comps. But the last few contracts he will be looking at will be, as you mentioned, Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson, and Patrick Mahomes. They're all up there in the, Pat's in the $45 million range. Deshaun's in the 39. Dak is in the 40. So the numbers just keep going up and up and up. I don't think that they would give him that this offseason. But if he can show that he can take this team even a little deeper into the playoffs, maybe make the Pro Bowl next year, he might be able to get up there in that stratosphere.
When you look at what the Browns might be doing, do you think this is where they begin the talks about a new contract for Nick Chubb, for Baker Mayfield, for Denzel Ward? Is that based on the fact that salary cap is going to jump pretty significantly moving forward?
Well, the first thing that will happen, and two super easy moves that they can and will make, will be to pick up the fifth-year options for Baker Mayfield and Denzel Ward. Those are no-brainers. They're going to do that. Whether they do it before the draft or after the draft, it will get done by that May 3rd deadline. Then they have a little time with those two guys to decide how they want to handle their extensions. Do they want to get them done before training camp begins, or do they want to delay them and put them off until after this season? So those are just the decisions they can make on those guys. There are other players that you don't necessarily want to take your good old time with, and those would be guys like Nick Chubb, Wyatt Teller, guys that are going into the last year of their contracts. So they will have to start talking to all of those guys and see how they want to handle it. As you mentioned, the price tag for Nick Chubb keeps going up. When you look at Aaron Jones and what some of these other really good running backs are making, they're in the double-digit millions, and some of them are well into the double-digit millions. It's really not the analytics way to pay a running back like that. So I'm sure they would probably want to come up with some kind of a creative, maybe incentive-laden deal, sort of like what they did with Kareem Hunt. They want to keep Nick Chubb. I mean, there's just no question about that. I just don't know if they want to do the kind of deals, the traditional deals that we've been seeing lately.
Mary Kay Cabot and I, Browns beat reporter, will be back. One more segment. We'll look ahead at what areas the Browns may address in the draft coming up in April, and it'll be here in Cleveland. Sports 4 CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
Tri-C is here for you. Now more than ever, you need a post-secondary education. So I encourage you to start your journey here at Tri-C. The majority of classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your four-year plans have changed, Tri-C is where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Well, hello, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Browns Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get texts sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Lobby, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week, and it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
Welcome back to Sports 4 CLE. I'm Dave Bacon. Mary Kay Cabot and I, Browns beat reporter, will continue to talk Browns football. Mary Kay told us that the NFL has agreed to their new TV deal. Here are some of the details in that deal, which is in the billions, B as in billions. It will drive up the salary cap, and there you see details of that agreement. And take a look. It is a divisional round game, existing wild card, Monday Night Football, top team appearances, and it is close to doubling the amount of television. We're not quite there, but close to doubling the amount of revenue that will come the NFL's way as a result of the television deal in the billions of dollars, which will drive up the salary cap. And Mary Kay, that's if you're a player, you're thrilled. I mean, the 17 games is one thing they gave, but it is a huge, huge financial deal that will ultimately increase the salary cap at a time when Browns fans should be happy that that salary cap is gonna go up, because there's a lot of people that need to be extended.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really means that they can keep this football team together. This is a team right now that was built to try to win a Super Bowl. They want to try to do that when Myles Garrett is in his prime, when Baker Mayfield is in his prime. And now, with the salary cap going up like this, they should be able to keep anybody that they want to keep at some really, really nice deals. So I don't think they have a whole lot to worry about in terms of trying to extend Baker, Denzel, Nick Chubb, Wyatt Teller. It might not all happen this offseason, but certainly by next offseason, those guys will be the beneficiaries of this blockbuster television deal.
And again, Andrew Berry has done a great job with the salary cap. We've said that before. Let's turn our attention. The NFL draft will be held here in Cleveland. They still have to work out the details in as far as how many people are going to be involved, how it will work in person, and that will come with the guidance of the state based on where the pandemic is. But what areas do you think the Browns will be looking heavily at as far as, positionally to supplement this roster?
Well, there are still certain positions that they need to add to the pile. And as I mentioned before, if they don't add a Jadeveon Clowney or someone like that, then you might want to look at an edge rusher. Certainly you could look at a linebacker. Now, I think the receiver room is going to remain intact the way that it is right now. But if for some reason somebody comes along and makes the Browns an offer that they can't refuse for Odell Beckham Jr., I don't anticipate that happening, but if that does happen, then they would be looking at receiver in the draft, and it's a very strong receiver draft. So these are some of the things. Cornerback, certainly, with the uncertainty surrounding Greedy, although everyone's optimistic, but you just never know. So these are some of the spots.
You got a chance to talk to Greedy Williams exclusively. Takeaways from that. What did you take away from your conversation with Greedy Williams?
Well, first of all, I was just so appreciative that he was willing to share his story with me. That was really cool. It was we had a great conversation. I really enjoyed talking to him, and he just really kind of opened up about what he's been through in the last year and how everything has been so difficult for him, including having to deal with people questioning whether or not he was really injured and whatnot. But my takeaways were that he feels ready to go. He's very confident that he's going to be able to come back and play and be the player that he was drafted to be in the second round here, and nail down that starting job opposite Denzel Ward and live up to his draft status. So those were my biggest takeaways.
Yeah, and if you think about it, if you get Greedy Williams back and he's healthy, and you get Grant Delpit back and he's healthy, those are like 2 high draft picks. It's like adding that on top of everything else that you have gotten, not only in free agency, but in the draft this year.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I mean, there are a couple of guys actually in that category. In addition to those 2 guys, then you have Andrew Billings that should be coming back. He opted out last year because of COVID-19, but he should be coming back to the defensive line at tackle. So he'll be able to replace Larry Ogunjobi. And as you mentioned, without making any more moves, you'll be getting 3 potential starters back. And that's huge out of 11, right? So if Grant can be what he was expected to be before rupturing the Achilles, same thing with Greedy. I mean, this is going to be one heck of a defensive backfield. I mean, just the safety room alone, I hear nothing but great things about John Johnson. So if you take the safety room with Ronnie Harrison, Grant Delpit, and John Johnson III, I mean, that's one heck of a safety room, almost one of the best in the league, I would have to think. And then you've got some really good corners on the back end there, and they'll have a lot to get excited about.
When you look at an area that might be a concern, are you concerned at all about the edge rusher? You kind of touched on it. As it stands now, you really have Myles Garrett and Tack McKinley, and you got Porter Gustin. And is that someplace that you think you need somebody else that can potentially just get after it?
I think so. I mean, I think they have high hopes for Tack McKinley, but I think you need to add at least one more proven pass rusher, whether it's somebody that is going to be a rookie that had that kind of production in college, or whether it's somebody that has done it at the pro level. I think you do need to add at least one other person there for the rotation, or to come in here and try to win that starting job. Now, will it be a Jadeveon Clowney? Would it be a Melvin Ingram or somebody like that? Will they try to trade for somebody that we don't even know about? But I think not only would you get excellent production out of that guy if he's good enough, but you're then taking pressure off of Myles Garrett. And I think that's vitally important. I think you need to support Myles in the same way that they have surrounded and supported Baker with a lot of talent. If you have somebody over there on the other side that can get almost double-digit sacks for you, or at least a lot of pressure, set the edge, do those kinds of things, then you might not have 3 guys hanging off of Myles Garrett on any given play. So I really think it will help him out a lot. It will help all the guys in the back end if you're getting better pressure up front, and it just makes a lot of sense to me.
Browns beat reporter Mary Kay Cabot, as always, appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks so much, Mary Kay. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter here on cleveland.com, as well as in the pages of the Plain Dealer. Coming out, we're going to head on down to Goodyear, Arizona. We talked to Jim Rosenhaus a little bit ago before the Indians game got underway. We'll hear from him and his takes on what's going on in spring training. We also want to remind you, you can reach us via the Les Levine voicemail of Truth and Reason, 216-200-6650. The Les Levine voicemail of Truth and Reason, 216-200-6650. You can also email us at sports4cle@gmail.com, sports4cle@cleveland.com. That is also our Twitter handle, sports4cle on Twitter. We're going to step aside. On the other side of the break, we'll head down to Goodyear, Arizona in spring training. We will be joined by one of the voices of the Cleveland Indians, Jim Rosenhaus. Straight ahead on Sports 4 CLE. Stay with us.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
We're living in uncertain times, but you don't have to put your future on hold. At Tri-C, you can move ahead while staying safe and saving money. The majority of classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your four-year plans have changed, check out Tri-C's programs and resources, because Tri-C is where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Lesmerises, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text, 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season, become an Ohio State text subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
Welcome back to Sports 4 CLE. I'm Dave Bacon, and it's one of the voices on the radio that means summer is not very far away. Jim Rosenhaus, voice of the Indians, joins us from down in Goodyear, Arizona. Jim, thanks so much for your time. Can't wait to hear your voice on the radio, as it means summer is here and the Indians. Hey, the opener just 2 weeks away in Detroit. So 2 weeks from today in Detroit. Jim, you've been with the team. You've seen spring training. Who are some names that have kind of done well at spring? And Terry Francona said you can't make too many decisions about what goes on in spring training, but who are some guys that have really played well this spring?
Well, you know what, David? It is the first year in a while, I think, that the Indians have had a situation in spring training where there's a lot of position battles and there is some uncertainty. So when someone does step forward and have a big spring, maybe it means a little bit more than it normally would. I think the name that jumps out right away, because he's leading the team in RBIs and has had just a tremendous spring, is first baseman Bobby Bradley, who has an opening for the first time in a long time because Carlos Santana is no longer with the ball club. So he knew coming into spring training and during the offseason that there actually would be a real opportunity for him to make the club and be a steady contributor. And he's had a wonderful spring, hitting the ball to all fields, showing that power that has been his trademark during his minor league career. The key will be, I think, what the decision may come down to, some of the other factors. He's battling Jake Bauers for that spot. Bradley still has a minor league option left. Bauers does not. So they do risk losing him if they take him off the roster and try and send him to the minor leagues. And Bauers is much better defensively at this stage of his career than Bradley is. So certainly Bobby Bradley has stood out. Andres Jimenez, one of the players coming over from the Mets in the big trade in the offseason, has taken the shortstop job and run with it. It was kind of an open competition maybe heading into spring training, but he locked that up within a week Just the way he plays defense, his reliability there, and offensively, he's been really good too. So that's been a real pleasant surprise. I think just because we had never seen him play on a regular basis before. He only had a half season in the big leagues with the Mets. Pitching-wise, the one who has stood out and had just a tremendous spring is Logan Allen, a lefty who they got in a deal with the Padres a couple of summers back. And there's an opening at the back end of the rotation for sure. And he has, as he said, when you have a chance, you got to knock that door down to try and make it on a major league team, especially when you're a young pitcher who is close but hasn't shown enough yet. Came into camp 25, 30 pounds lighter. It's helped his delivery, his consistency with his delivery, and that's the biggest key. He's pounding the strike zone and having great success. So there's three names for you, David. There's more, but those are three that have really stood out.
The other thing that is still up in the air, according to Terry Francona, center field, and they really want somebody to take a hold of that, and nobody has. And you're 2 weeks away from the opener. What's going on with the center field position? Who are the guys, and what do you think the Indians need to see in order to say, that's our guy?
It's a tough one because Oscar Mercado, who had a really good rookie season in 2019 and then just struggled mightily last year, he's one of the contenders, certainly, and he's had an okay spring. Bradley Zimmer has had a decent spring, and again, with him, it's all about the health. And he finally had an off season where he wasn't rehabbing an injury. He was just working on his game to try and get better and be ready for spring training. So he's had a pretty good spring. And then the wild card in this, and this is a development within the last week, is Ahmed Rosario, one of the other players acquired in the big trade with the Mets in the offseason. A shortstop throughout his career, but Andres Jimenez is going to be the shortstop. So what do you do with Rosario, who's used to playing every day? They're trying him out in center field. He had about a week's worth of activity on the backfields, just taking fly balls on a regular basis back there. His first game was earlier this week against the Angels, and it did not go well. He made 3 errors, and he looked uncomfortable out there, and it was a shame because he's working hard at it, and it didn't go well. But as Terry Francona said, they're not going to judge him on that one game. He'll be back out there in Thursday's game against the Cubs, and they'll probably give him some more opportunities as well. He said, you're not going to judge him on one game, but you don't want to put him in a bad spot. If there's several games where it just is not working out, they'll move him off of that and try something else. But credit to Rosario for embracing it and really working at it. And I think the Indians are handling it okay in what is kind of a difficult spot to try and learn a new position midway through spring training at the major league level.
Well, one thing that figures to be a strength, as it has been the last couple of years, starting pitching. A young starting pitching team, but this franchise, this organization, has developed starters who have been ready to go right when Terry Francona has given them the ball. And, there seems to be a surplus of young, talented pitching as well, which you're going to need.
I think so, especially in this season, coming off of the shutdown year where they only played 60 games, and in some cases for pitchers who are not in the major leagues, they didn't have any time on the mound, real innings. So those 5 you listed there very well could be the starting rotation. Certainly, obviously, Shane Bieber is pretty funny when they announced the opening day starter. They really didn't need to announce it. He's the Cy Young Award winner. Of course, he will start on opening day. But, he's rounding into form here as we get deeper into spring training. Zach Plesac, he's been up and down this spring, but he's been working on all of his pitches, and that's really important at this stage of spring training. Aaron Savali's been sharp. The last 2 spots, though, will be interesting. They won't need a 5th starter for a couple of weeks because of the off days early in the schedule. But those names you listed there, Tristan McKenzie and Cal Quantrill, certainly in contention, although both have been inconsistent so far this spring. And I mentioned Logan Allen. He's been the best of those 3. And Adam Plutko still could figure in that mix as well, although I think they view him more as more of a swing guy who can go back and forth between the rotation and the pen. But to your point, they're going to need at least, I would think, 8 or 9 starting pitchers to make it through the season this year. They're going to be really careful. If McKenzie's in the rotation, don't look for him to throw 200 innings. It's just not going to happen. So they're going to need some others to pick up innings, and that's where the depth comes in, and they feel very strongly about the depth that they have.
How about the bullpen? That's another area which Terry Francona says he thinks they can be sneaky good, and I think that's because you got some talented young arms that Cleveland fans are going to like a whole lot when they get to see them.
Yeah, and Tito's a master. When you say sneaky good, I think last year heading into the season, a lot of people thought that the Indians bullpen might struggle. And in this day and age of 100-mile-an-hour fastballs from most relievers, it seems that's not true, but mid to upper 90s is the norm. The Indians bullpen last year may have had one of the lowest average velocities in terms of fastball of any bullpen in baseball, but they still were one of the better bullpens where it counts, and that's keeping runs off the scoreboard. So he just has that way of mixing and matching and putting relievers in good spots. So with that said, they have a couple of flamethrowers at the back end of the pen who they're counting on and think very highly of. James Karinchak, who we saw last year in his rookie season, solid, had a really good year with a fastball approaching 100 and just a tremendous curveball. Emmanuel Clase, kind of the last remains of the Corey Kluber trade with Texas. Kluber has left Texas. He's with New York now. Delino DeShields is back in Texas after a season in Cleveland. Clase is the last one in that trade that might contribute to the team that he was traded to, and he could contribute in a big way. Now, he missed last season with a shoulder injury and also a PED suspension, but he's back and throwing extremely well. He's throwing strikes, and that's really exciting to think of him at the back end. And then you have that veteran presence in Nick Whitgren. Doesn't throw as hard, but has been around the block a time or two and knows how to get through a ninth inning, throw strikes. That's big. So that's a nice 3 to start with, and then they'll fill it out with some others, some of whom are veteran pitchers who are in camp on those minor league deals trying to make a club, and most of them have thrown the ball very well. So there'll be some tough decisions here in the next week to 10 days.
Jim Rosenhaus, one of the voices of the Indians. It means spring and summer not far behind. The opener again, 2 weeks, Thursday in Detroit. Jim, thanks so much for the time. Appreciate the time and the insight. Jim Rosenhaus, thanks very much.
Dave, best of luck with the show. Thank you.
All right, Jim Rosenhaus from Goodyear, Arizona, giving us the information as the Indians get ready for that opener in 2 weeks. Time for us to step aside, take a quick time out. When we return, Matt Gould will talk OHSAA Final Four, all 4 divisions represented by Northeast Ohio. Sports for CLE will be right back talking OHSAA basketball after this timeout.
Tri-C is here for you. Now more than ever, you need a post-secondary education. So I encourage you to start your journey here at Tri-C. The majority of classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your 4-year plans have changed, Tri-C is where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Well, hello, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Browns Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get text sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Lobby, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week, and it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
Welcome back to Sports 4 CLE. The OHSAA getting ready for state championship basketball down at the University of Dayton Arena. Northeast Ohio will be well represented. Let's welcome in the prep reporter extraordinaire, Matt Goul. You can read him in the pages of the Plain Dealer, see him here on cleveland.com as well. Matt, a couple of teams, opposite halves of the Division I Final Four. Mentor unbeaten during the regular season. I know you've seen the Cardinals. I know you like the Cardinals. Tell us what Mentor needs to do to be successful.
Well, I think the matchup plays into their hands a little bit better with Centerville versus, say, an Archbishop Moeller, which has been at that stage a number of times. They're a lot bigger. Centerville's got some size to them, but they like to play on the wing. And on that big court at the University of Dayton, I think that really favors Mentor's tempo. Could be a big weekend for Luke Chacon, and one last chance for him to showcase his talents with Mr. Basketball still open. You know, we've got a couple of guys that are candidates for that award as well who are going to be down there this weekend, including George Mangus from Lima Shawnee and, of course, Malachi Branham from St. Mary. So this could be a big weekend for Mentor. And, you know, Stephen Key's going for them pretty well, and so is Jonah Wag, who's become kind of their top defender, you know, with ways taking charges and things of that nature. So I think the environment favors Mentor because of, as I said, the big court and the way they like to get up and down. And the Centerville matchup should lend itself a little bit better to their style of play.
And you mentioned Chacon averaging 22.7, Keys averaging 15.2, and Wag 18. So you got that three-headed monster. Let's look over the St. Ignatius Wildcats opposite half of the bracket. So that could be your state championship matchup. What a job by Cam Joyce, the second-year head coach.
I mean, second year. I asked him about this earlier this week, if he foresaw having this much success this soon. Because, you know, he inherited a team that lost a triple overtime game to Brecksville back in 2019 in the district semifinals. Fast forward to last year, they lost to Rhodes twice, including a crazy overtime game at Lakewood, again in the district semifinals. And he felt like they were there, they were knocking on the door. He told me he was confident in his abilities with his background. You know, he's been around on the college ranks the last few years. And, you know, I got to say, I'm not surprised either. And this is a team that was really built for this year, I think, when you look at your seniors up front and Henry Rayner and Will Yontek, both 6'7". They've got a 6'10" junior and CJ Yarian, who comes off the bench. John Efforts, a skinny 6-foot guard who's a junior, but he plays like a senior because he's a third-year kid. And then they have CJ Little, this freshman point guard who's still only 14 years old. You know, athletically, he plays a lot older than 14, and mentally he's playing like it too, because Cam Joyce is showing a lot of faith in the young man. And I'm really intrigued. I think they have a good shot to get to the state Final Four, or the state finals, excuse me. Worcesterville Central, an interesting opponent. They only have 2 losses this year, both by 1 point, those 2 losses. One was to Kahana Lincoln, who they beat on that half-court buzzer beater back on Saturday.
You look at Cam's dad, Drew Joyce, and his St. Vincent St. Mary Fighting Irish back where you expect them to be. They're in the Final Four. They'll get a tough matchup in the semis. And you touched on Malachi Branham. That's a really, really talented guard, one of the best guards in the country without question.
Yeah, I think the St. V Lima Shawnee game has the potential to be the game of the weekend. And actually, and a lot of coaches I've talked to agree with this, the state semifinals might actually be better than the championship games because a lot of the teams match up with each other better. And plus, when you're working on 1 day's notice for most of these teams, you never know what's going to happen on that Sunday. So I think the semifinals are going to be awesome. And it starts with that Lima Shawnee St. Vincent St. Mary game. I think if St. V tries to play up tempo, which they're more incapable of doing, that actually plays in the Lima Shawnee's preferred style with George Mangus and the guys they have there. But I'll tell you what, if it gets into a half court game, nobody's better in the state at defending in the half court than St. Vincent St. Mary.
Let's take a quick look. Division 3, we've got Lutheran East, who has a legitimate chance at taking that home. And in Division 4, you got Richmond Heights. I know you've seen both those teams quite a bit. Tell me what Lutheran East and what Richmond Heights have to do to be successful in Divisions 3 and 4.
For Lutheran East, it's just keep doing what they're doing. They are, I would say, the most talented team in Division 3, and I'm not sure it's close. A lot of people think Worthington Christian is close to them because they have a group that's been playing together for a long time. DJ Moore is a dynamic playmaker for Worthington Christian. And that's actually the one exception to what I said about the semifinals. That final might be better than the semifinals, I will admit. So that's what I'm kind of looking forward to on Sunday is hopefully we get that matchup of Lutheran East and Worthington Christian because that could be a dynamic game. But, the Falcons, they've been blowing teams out left and right. They won their first few games by over 200 points combined in the district tournament. Norwayne gave them their closest push, and it was still a 19-point game. It was interesting because Norwayne had some size and gave them some fits. But, Lutheran East speed, especially on the perimeter, Colin Albert, Sir Hughes, Jalen Knott, those are 3 premier defenders. And that's going to be an awful lot for teams to contend with. And I mentioned the big floor benefiting a guy like Luke Chacon at Minner. The same could be said for Lutheran East. You get trapping, you get pressing, you can create turnovers, and you got all kinds of room to play with in transition.
Then you got Richmond.
And looking at Richmond Heights. Yep. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you. Take us through Richmond Heights real quick.
Richmond Heights, their matchup with Botkins is really interesting to me because Botkins has a couple guys who are 6'6", 6'7", just like Richmond Heights with Josiah Harris, who has an Ohio State offer, Jaden Cox-Holloway, who's the 6'5" outside shooter, of course, Priest Ryan, big 6'6" interior guy. They're all juniors. And then they've got their senior guards, but they're really missing Jamar Talbert, I think. And I think this weekend could be where that really tests them. Their regional games and their district games haven't been that close. But, you get onto this stage, and one of the things that Quentin Rogers, their coach, always worries about is their turnovers. They played really well in that regard against Warren JFK in the regional finals. But you wonder what that's going to look like on that stage. And there's some pretty good teams there with them. Division 4 might be the most competitive division this weekend, I think. And they've got a team in Botkins, which has that size match, but they also have a point guard who could exploit them not having Talbert this weekend. If they overcome that, you're probably looking at Columbus Grove in the finals, maybe New Boston Glenwood. But it's going to be unpredictable, and as it should be.
Matt Gould, outstanding prep reporter for cleveland.com, as well as in the pages of the Plain Dealer. You can see him here on cleveland.com. You can read him in the Plain Dealer, as always, Matt. Appreciate the time. Great insight about the state Final Four getting ready to get underway in Dayton, University of Dayton Arena. Matt, as always, appreciate the time. Thanks very much. All right, that'll do it for us here on Sports 4 CLE. Quick reminder, you want to get in touch with us, the voicemail of Truth and Reason, the Les Levine voicemail of Truth and Reason, 216-200-6650. Have a great Thursday night. We'll see you again tomorrow. Kevin Mackey supposed to join us. We'll also hear from Jeff Bowles and Dan Lobby, Browns beat reporter, right here on Sports 4 CLE. Have a great night, everyone.